If you think it wasn't until a few decades ago that women started proposing marriage to men, well, then Ruth and I, well, we just might have a big surprise for you. Hello and welcome to Tales from the Scrypt, stories you can believe in. I'm Louis Marsh, senior pastor of River Church right here in Parker, Arizona, and your host for this show. The story of Ruth continues today and even gets kind of strange and maybe even a little racy. Let's find out. Naomi had been thinking a lot about what Ruth had told her, and I'm betting she might have even done a little spying, let's just say checking up on her daughter-in-law as well. So one night she sat Ruth down and decided it was time for her to make her move. Clearly, Boaz was attracted to Ruth, but being an older gentleman, didn't feel like he could do much about it. Ruth was also taken by him, and he might not be in town much longer, so it was time to act, and it was time for Mama to take control. She instructed Ruth on what to do. She was to clean herself up a bit, put some clean clothes on, and then go down to the threshing floor as evening approached. The threshing floor was where grain was winnowed. After the stalks of grain were laid upon the hard, flat threshing floor and pounded to loosen the heads from the stems, men and women with pitchforks would heave the stalks into the air, and the breeze would carry the lightest part away, that's the straw, while the heaviest parts, the kernels of grain, would fall down more or less straight down onto the threshing floor. The problem is that while some wind is required to make the process work, it has to be the right amount. Too much, and it would blow everything away, while too little didn't really help separate things. The time of year for the wheat harvest was late summer and early fall, and it was hot. The desert winds were always quite strong during the afternoon at that time of year, but as the sun moved downward towards the horizon, the breeze became more gentle. By dark, it became calm. Thus it was dusk when Boaz was winnowing, and that would have been the regular time that winnowing took place in the part of Judah where they lived. Naomi told Ruth to hide from Boaz, but to carefully note where he lay down to sleep. You see, both Boaz and the workers would sleep right there on the threshing floor to be close to their work and protect the winnowed grain as well. Once they were sound asleep and it was dark, Ruth was to go to him, quote, uncover his feet, unquote, and lay down by him. The controversy that has arisen here is that the word feet is also used as a biblical idiom referring to male or female genitalia. Covering one's feet is also used at times to describe what we would call going to the bathroom. Now, I'm pretty sure Naomi isn't telling Ruth to go to the restroom on Boaz's feet, that's for sure. So what's going on here? Some help is found in the word translated feet. It's margaloth, and it's used only 4 times in the Bible, and some scholars think that it basically means everything from the hips to the feet. So Ruth is hidden and watches Boaz and his men eat and then go to sleep on their blankets on the floor. Her heart pounds as she waits for them to fall into a deep sleep. Finally, all is quiet, but Ruth's heart is beating a mile a minute now and seems to be in her throat. She swallows hard, hoping it'll get back in her chest where it belongs, and she quietly moves forward. As silently as possible, she moves through the darkness between the sleeping men until she reaches Boaz. With trembling hand, Ruth carefully uncovers his feet, and probably some, if not most, of his legs. Then she lay down perpendicular to Boaz in the traditional position of a slave at his master's feet. Now, she wasn't doing anything immoral, but that doesn't mean that there aren't any sexual overtones here either. The issue is one of degree. What man would go to bed alone only to wake up and find a lovely young woman lying next to him and not be a little bit excited about the situation? If you're an older man like Boaz and find this younger, attractive woman there, well, that's going to get your attention for sure. Boaz was startled awake. Was it Ruth, or perhaps someone snoring, or maybe even his own snoring? It's dark, and Boaz can't quite make out who's there, so he asks for her name. Ruth replies, and what a reply it is. She uses Boaz's own words as she identifies herself, deepens her commitment to God, and asks Boaz to marry her And she does all that in 2 quick sentences. I am your servant, Ruth, she said. Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer, unquote. When she first met Boaz, she called herself a Norki in Hebrew. It means handmaiden, but it also means a foreigner who's outside of the Jewish community and thus not truly eligible for marriage. This time, however, she uses a different term, Amah. Amah is a significant change because it infers a higher social class and someone who is in the Jewish community and thus eligible for marriage. Ruth is saying she's no longer an outsider, but an Israelite. But that's not all. Do you remember what Boaz had said to her when they met? He told her that she had taken refuge under the wing of the Lord. Now Ruth uses that very word and asks Boaz to put her under his wing because he is her redeemer. Again, the wording is important. The Hebrew word that is translated wings is kanaf, and usual image you get of that is, say, of a mother bird stretching out her wing over her chicks to guard and protect them from storms and predators. Ruth is saying that Boaz should spread his kanaf, his wings, which would be a metaphor perhaps for his robes, over her for her earthly well-being. And this is because Boaz is Ruth's Goel, his kinsman redeemer. And just like that, Ruth has proposed to Boaz. I wonder if he could breathe in that moment. That he was stunned, well, I think that's evident in his reply. He said, "May you be blessed by the Lord, my daughter. You have made this last kindness greater than the first, in that you have not gone after young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you ask. For all my fellow townsmen know that you are a worthy woman. And now it is true that I am a redeemer, yet there is a redeemer nearer than I. Remain tonight. And in the morning, if he will redeem you, good, let him do it. But if he is not willing to redeem you, then as the Lord lives, I will redeem you. Lie down until morning," unquote. So they both lay back down. But I wonder how much sleep they got. Ruth, continuing her care to not embarrass Boaz, got up early before anybody else and left. Thus only Boaz knew of her visit and sent her home with a large gift of barley for Naomi. Naomi was certain Boaz would come through for Ruth. Ruth, however, wasn't sure, and you'll just have to wait till next week to hear how this little romance all winds up. Until then, I'm Louis Marsh, Senior Pastor of River Church in Parker, Arizona. Thanks for listening to this. And especially for listening all the way to the end. If you would enjoy this, then please give me a thumbs up. Give me a subscribe if you're not subscribed, because most of the people that listen to this podcast are not subscribers. So please give me a subscribe. Check out my other podcast. The QR code's right there for it. And we'll be back with you, Lord willing, next week. Till then, God bless you.